Hello, this is Chris again, Broken Nib RC. I wanted to give you an update on this Kraton EXB, and I made a few changes. Um, Started out, I was going to do just a few mods. I wanted to kind of get ahead of the game and check the diffs, which I did, and they were good. And I thought, got a lot of good information from a YouTube channel called AJJAM, which is, I'm going to put the link in the description for you. I really recommend checking out his EXB videos. He does a great review and goes through a lot of the differential problems that guys are having with this kit, and kind of some of the different solutions, and basically what you just want to look out for and check. Very, very good video, very concise video. He's new in the game, and we need to make him popular. He does some good stuff. Everything's out of his own pocket, kind of like me, and yeah, it's a good channel. So definitely check that out. Yeah, I started out with the diffs, and found out like the rear end. When I checked the diffs, it had a few thousandths. Was a little loose. Was not sitting in the case quite as well as it should. And what it was spotted on this other channel is that when they manufacture these, they are, I doubt they're milled. They've got to be injection molded, I'm assuming, although it looks like there's a lot of nylon in this plastic. So maybe they are machined, but they could be just a wee bit off from unit to unit. And it kind of explains why you get so many varying results. Some guys have no problem. Most of them have no problem, and then every once in a while somebody has a problem, and then it turns out it doesn't really fit right, and then you try to shim it, and it kind of fixes it, and this kind of thing. So what I did to kind of try to get ahead of the game is go ahead and invest in some aluminum bulkheads, basically diff cases. And I got it from Hot Racing. The light, this big old wing just kind of sucks up all the light. So I'm going to try something here. I'm going to do a flashlight thing and show you with the flashlight. Anyway, got Hot Racing diff covers. I got I was only able to get one diff cover. For some reason, everything in the nation is sold out. So I was able to get two cases and one diff case cover. So I put that on the rear end. Anyway, that took out all the slop, all the play. Everything's nice and buttery smooth. It's not a big deal. Checked the fluids in the diffs, and they're good. Added just a little bit, just to top them off, and kind of went from there. And then everything kind of ballooned, and I kind of was like, well, I want to strengthen it up. And I thought, I want to get one of those, I want to get a chassis from M2 Racing. Well, they're just not available right now. I think he's ramping up for the summer, I'm sure. So they just don't have any in stock, which is fine, not a big deal. So, but I ended up, it's probably a good thing in the long run, because I kind of want to see how this chassis holds up to begin with, and I think that's fine. And I'm not jumping bridges or school buses or anything like that. It's just this is my first big basher, and odds are I'm going to do something stupid with it, and I want to kind of hit it off at the pass a little bit and just beef it up. And I wanted a truck that I can throw in the back of my real pickup and go down to the lake, or take it on a long drive out in the desert or something, and go stop somewhere and just bash and hit the same stuff. You hit curbs and rocks and everything, and I wanted to kind of beef it up from there. So anyway, ended up with a lot of stuff from M2C Racing. Got the chassis brace, got the shock tower brace, which just put that on today. I had bought all this stuff, and it came in, and I looked at these braces and went, where the hell do these go? And I had to do a lot of hunting online just to find the instructions to find out where these things actually go. There's a video on there on his site. It's not a big deal. But anyway, got the shock. I get tongue-tied. I got the shock towers. You beef them up, replace that, and the 4mm standoffs. Got that topped off of the whole set. So, also got the rear bumper, or I'm sorry, the rear skid, and so that's kind of protected underneath. And just started putting it together. And I haven't even run this yet. And there you go. That's kind of how it goes in RC, and that's kind of always been. I bought a Slash one time when they first came out, and that was my first regular run. Well, I ended up taking it home and tearing it apart, and replaced the really lousy bullet connectors with Deans and that kind of stuff. And I remember a week later, I'm out there and I walked into a buddy, and he just couldn't believe I did that. It was just like, you didn't go out and run it first? And I'm like, well, no, I wanted to make it mine and get a new body and paint it up and all that kind of good stuff. And I've just always been that way. So the front of this thing is next. We just got the rear end finished off. That's good. And I'm dropping things as we speak. Anyway, the front end is next, and I noticed that it looks like there are brass bushings in the steering rack, which is not too keen, and it's the uprights are all composite, which is probably fine, but I'd like to have them on ball bearings, considering about you throw $100 servo in this thing, and I want it to turn the wheels and not a bunch of gunked up bushings once you get a bunch of sand and crap in there. So we upgraded to steering rack from Hot Racing, and probably if you pause the video you can get the part number off of it. Maybe I'll get a list going, but anyway, steering rack from Hot Racing. Other thing too is the axle carriers. Just because they're alloy, I heard the stock ones tend to split after a while, and it's kind of got a fine thread. The retaining nuts are fine thread, and you get a little finer adjustment, a little more surface area to screw them down with, that kind of a thing. So I'm going to go ahead and swap that out. And of course we have the front shock tower. That's all good to go. And what else? Front tower brace. That should be fun. And of course, we have the Hot Racing aluminum gearbox case for the front diff. So that's probably going to be this weekend. We're going to go tear all this front end apart and rebuild it. I heard somebody was telling me somewhere that they used a lot of red Loctite on these things. So I was kind of like asking around on the forums about that. And a lot of them haven't really encountered any. I only encountered one screw that had Loctite on it, and that was the brace coming in from the chassis, which is to be expected. Not a problem, just heat it up a little bit and you're good to go. One word of advice, keep your Allen keys that come with the EXB, because you never know when you're going to use them, and it'll give you extra leverage when you're trying to get a nasty bolt off the bottom of your chassis. Keep all that stuff, because these guys aren't going to do it, especially when you're trying to torque something off. You need a right angle anything to get that thing going. Just word of advice, no big deal. The motor, it's a 1717 Castle. This should be plenty. This should be enough horsepower to get it going. I got batteries for it, but like an idiot, I went ahead and just bought them. I didn't check the size, and they're a hair too big. So the next thing is try to fit 2 big 4 cells in here, or see if I can. If I can't, then I'll run 1 4 cell at a time, or I don't know, I'll figure out something, or we'll just make it work. Not a big deal, but things like that. I'm set up for 6 cell, And probably the first run I'm going to want to do 4-cell anyway, just because, you know, it's a lot of horsepower. And yeah, that's about it. I've got the cage off the top right now, obviously. And this thing is coming together. It looks good with the upgraded parts on here, I have to admit. It looks pretty neat. So, just got some new out drives from MTC Racing. These weren't available for a while. All of a sudden they became available. This is like week number 2 of March. And they just kind of became available again. I don't know how much he's got stocked up, but I bought a couple pairs of those. I just got a Mojave EXB. I don't know what came over me. I just had to have it. So I'll probably start souping that up next. Videos to come, obviously. So these will probably go into the Mojave. I'm going to stick with these steel ones for now. Apparently, the suspension tends to drop out on large jumps, so we have to kind of, I don't know, I got to look into it, because I think you can adjust it to where it doesn't come out of the cup as bad, you know, with the drive shafts. But that's just a little bit of research, no big deal. And that's about it for now. Hopefully we'll get a running video going on this thing soon, because I'm really stoked about it. One thing I have to recommend is obviously keep this manual. I don't have to tell you that. You drop $5 on a truck, you want to keep the manual, obviously. But this manual is weird. It's got information in it, don't get me wrong, but not as much as you think, and not as easily accessible as you think. Because it took me quite a number of minutes to find out what kind of diff oil to get, or what diff oil is actually in the diffs. There's no chart on it, and it's just kind of mentions it off the cuff. Little things like that. It's kind of strange. There's exploded diagrams, which are good. I mean, obviously you've got one of the diff. I used some exploded. I used to, use it as reference material when I tore out the back of the truck, just because I never tore out the back of these things yet until just now. So it's obviously good for that, but not a whole lot of info. I think because you're translating like I think it's 4 different languages in this thing, so I'm sure it's not going to be real wordy. It's kind of like pictograms. Another thing that's kind of strange is mounting the ESC. I forgot everything's for Spectrum on this, so obviously the ESC plate is made for a Spectrum ESC, which is there's nothing wrong with that. But you go put in like a Big Mama Max or a Hobby Wing, you got to do a little bit of modifying just to get it to sit on the plate flat. There's a little ridge that goes across. There's a little ridge that goes across here on the original plate, and obviously the plate's plastic, so it's not a big deal. You can take a Dremel tool and kind of knock it down flat, so you have a lot more range where you can mount this thing. And I just use double-sided tape, to mount it to where I want it, and took the wire clip off, which is just screwed on. And like I said, when you check out that ridge, it opens up your options quite a bit, and you just stick it on down and keep on going. Not a big deal. Got to mount the switch. Put the sensor wire in. Had to get an extra long sensor wire because everything is on the opposite. The connectors here, and the sensor wire that they give you is just not long enough. It just didn't quite make it. So we ended up getting new sensor wires, which was no big deal. Got the Castle Creation sensor wire, 300 millimeters. So I got lots of room to spare. I'm gonna have to just tidy it up and mount it and get it ready to go. So that's about it for this thing. For tonight, I'm gonna wrench on it this weekend and hopefully get another video out sometime next week. And we'll try to keep on the regular with this stuff. and once I get the camera work figured out, this is kind of the best way I know how to do it right now, is just hold the camera. And I'm in a garage, so it kind of soaks up all the light like crazy. I didn't realize how much, but yeah, I've got to get some alternate lighting or something, and get a decent camera mount to where I could work on it and show you guys some of this stuff, and kind of do some better demonstrations here. But what do you want? I'm new to this. There's no book on how to do this stuff. You just have to figure it out. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Have fun out there, no matter what you're doing. That's the whole point of this game, is to have fun. And have a good week, and I'll talk to you guys later.